Hi guys, Robbo46 here, welcome yourselves back to MotoGP 18 on the Xbox One X. Now today we're doing a race at a very wet Silverstone because, as you guys know, it was meant to be the Silverstone Grand Prix on Sunday and unfortunately it didn't happen. So yeah, that's what we're going to be talking about today. I went to Silverstone, as I'm sure many of you did as well. And yeah, unfortunately the race was cancelled due to track conditions and the rain. And it all pretty much started on Saturday because there was quite a nasty incident in FP4 towards the end of the session going into Stowe Corner. Alex Rins, just as he went to put the brakes on and start tipping the bike in, he aquaplaned and he ended up having to jump off of his bike into the gravel into Stowe, because he couldn't get the bike to stop or turn, so he had to jump off, otherwise he would have ended up getting injured. So he done that, and then as he got to his feet, he was waving for the riders to slow down into Stowe because there's a lot of standing water there. Unfortunately, Tito Rabat then crashed his Avintia Ducati, and as he got up and was walking away, Franco Morbidelli then crashed in the same place, and Morbidelli's bike then hit Rabat as he was walking away, and unfortunately fractured Rabat's leg in 3 places and dislocated his knee. So yeah, the session had to be red flagged, and Rabat had to be attended to, and he eventually got airlifted to hospital. So that was the start of the problems at Silverstone. And they went ahead, done their qualifying, done Q2 and Q1 and Q2 even, and yeah, it was looking right. We had a little bit of rain, and then, well, we had quite a bit of rain, which saturated the track, and then it started drying out, which enabled them to qualify. And that was pretty much it for that day. They ran the British Talent Cup race a bit later on, and that was in the dry. And then in the evening they decided, because looking at the forecast for Sunday, it was not looking good. MotoGP was set to start at 1 o'clock, you had Moto3 at 11:30, MotoGP at 1, and then Moto2 was going to be the third race, which was going to be at 2:30. However, they decided, because the rain was meant to start at 10 o'clock Sunday, that they were going to bring MotoGP forward to 11:30, and that was going to be the first race of the day because the weather was not looking good. And the problem with Silverstone at the moment is that it got resurfaced back in February, I think it was, so beginning of the year, and the resurfacing job was not a good job. The track just does not drain at all, so we're getting loads of rain and the water was going on the track and then just staying there, just building up, and the whole track was pretty much flooded. And yeah, that's why we had bikes aquaplaning and that. And the thing is, Saturday night the track officials tried their best to try and come up with something to help with drainage of the track. They were drilling holes in the track, they were digging trenches in the grass at the side of the track, just hoping that the water would drain off into them. But unfortunately, it did not happen. And yeah, went to the track on Sunday morning. We got there about 7:30ish in the morning. And MotoGP went out for free practice, warm-up. MotoGP went out for warm-up, and it was dry, but it was very overcast. And then MotoGP finished their warm-up, and then Moto3s came out, and then it started raining. And it started raining at about 9:30. And looking at the weather forecast, it was going to be in for the whole day. And it didn't look like there was going to be any letter than the rain whatsoever. So that was not good, because that eventually led to MotoGP, first of all, being delayed. They formed up the grid, but when they were doing their sighting lap to go to the grid, a couple of them came back in the pits and went back out to have a second look. Bautista, he ran off track and went into the gravel. He didn't come off, but he just struggled to get the Ducati stopped to make the corners, and that was just on the sighting lap for the grid. So yeah, it was looking very sketchy and very dangerous. And yeah, about 20 past 11, they decided that, yeah, the race was going to be delayed, and all the riders and teams were back into their pits. And one thing that did make me laugh is that the race officials decided to hold up a sign before the race was delayed saying "wet race," and everyone gave a cheer because it was blatantly obvious it was going to be a wet race because it was raining and the track was soaked. And yeah, so they kept delaying the race and that, and we kind of called it right because we're looking at the weather forecast. It was not going to stop raining, and if they couldn't race basically when the track was as good as it was going to get, it was only going to get worse throughout the day, then we didn't think they were going to be able to race at all. So we decided to make quite a swift exit and left Silverstone at about midday. And I was checking social media on the way home. I wasn't driving, I hasten to add, but yeah, checking social media, and it was just kept getting delayed, and yeah, they kept doing track inspections. It was still pissing down with rain, and yeah, they just kept delaying it, and then it was getting later in the day. It had gone past midday, it had gone past 1 o'clock, it had gone past 2 o'clock. And then they decided about 3:30, I think it was, that there was going to be a little break in the rain, and they were hoping to get some racing done, which I don't know how they figured that one out, because if it was going to stop raining, only for about 10 minutes, and most of that time they would have had to try and get all the water off the track, and that would have taken longer than 10 minutes, and then the rain would have started again. So yeah, they just decided about 3:30 to do another track inspection again, and then they said provided the track is in good condition and is raceable, they will race MotoGP, and they were going to do it at like 10 to 4, and if they have to, they will start cancelling races, starting with Moto3, but that didn't happen. The riders and the teams had a meeting in the IRTA buildings, and yeah, they decided it was too dangerous to race, and the race could not go ahead. So then and there, they cancelled the whole day, and there was no racing at all. Now, there's a lot of people blaming the riders and that, but at the end of the day, it was really, really bad conditions. There's standing water everywhere, and the bikes that can only cope with so much. The tyres are only designed to cope with so much water. When there's so much water that the tyre isn't actually in contact with the track anymore, that's when you start getting aquaplaning and that, and that's what was happening. And yeah, I mean, it is annoying that there's no racing, but the rider's safety takes over, because we don't want to see riders getting injured or even worse. So it's definitely the right decision, but it wasn't handled the best way, because really the officials could have cancelled it a lot sooner in the day. Now, I get what they were trying to do. They were trying their best to do everything they could to get some racing going on, but looking at the forecast, you could tell that it wasn't going to stop raining, which meant that the track was only going to keep getting worse and worse throughout the whole day, despite them trying to brush it all off and that. And yeah, so really they should have called it a bit sooner, because loads of fans were still behind, and it was freezing, it was wet, and just a horrible day. Obviously that meant that the riders had to try and stay in their gear. The mechanics and that had to stay in the garage, keep the bike prepped just in case they were able to race. The other riders had to stay in race mode so they couldn't relax, and obviously you had the marshals out there just stood around in the cold and the wet, and waiting to do their job, and that never happened. And yeah, just not good overall. Obviously fans were let down on that, and the trouble is, like I said, that the track was resurfaced at the beginning of the year, and they couldn't have done some sort of drainage check on the track, because the amount of water that accumulated on the track I mean, we've had wet races at Silverstone in the past. 2015 they raced in the wet, and they have raced in heavy rain and that in the past as well. It's just since the resurfacing, it just wasn't draining the water, and that was the problem. That was the issue. It was just so much standing water. The track was not draining. So yeah, that is basically what has happened, and yeah, they couldn't race, and I do feel sorry for, well, everyone really, because MotoGP going to Silverstone is awesome to watch, and that the atmosphere is always good, and yeah, it's just a shame that obviously the fans didn't get a race. The marshals who were volunteers and the doctors and that, they were stood around in the rain for hours, and yeah, just not good at all. And yeah, like I said, it should have been called a lot earlier, just so that people could go home and get out of the rain and that. And yeah, apparently Silverstone are going to be contacting people like myself who did book their tickets. Not entirely sure what the outcome of that is going to be, whether it's going to be, I don't know, a deal or something for next year or something, I don't know. But when I find out, obviously I'll let you guys know. But yeah, that's what is going to happen. They said they're going to contact us this week, so waiting to hear from them. But yeah, just so sad that we didn't get to see any racing at all. And it's also sad for the likes of Scott Redding and Bradley Smith, because that was potentially their last home Grand Prix at Silverstone on a MotoGP bike, because we have no idea where those guys are going next year yet. And yeah, it would have been nice for them to race one more time in the Premier class at Silverstone, and unfortunately they didn't get to. So yeah, that was not the weekend we wanted. I mean, free practice and qualifying, that was good to watch, but unfortunately we didn't get any racing. So I think Dorna have said that Silverstone really need to sort it out by next year. So fingers crossed. I don't know, well, they need to get a refund for that resurfacing, because they obviously didn't do a good job, because part of the resurfacing was to get rid of the bumps as well. And I think initially it got rid of the bumps, but because we had so much hot weather and that, and obviously we've had an F1 go there since, the bumps are back. So it didn't even get rid of the thing it was meant to in the beginning. So they had bumps, and the track was just not draining. So yeah, not good. I know that some of the riders still wanted a race. The likes of Johan Zarco, Jack Miller and Scott Redding wanted a race, but in the end it was down to a majority vote. And yeah, it is annoying, but at the same time I do understand it is the rider's safety in jeopardy when it's conditions like that. So I would rather that happen, and then rather than like the rider getting seriously injured or even worse. So the right decision was made, but unfortunately it just wasn't made early enough. It should have been made a lot earlier in the day to stop people hanging around in that. At the end of this video I will put out, well, we'll add on to the end of the video some footage that I took during free practice and qualifying on Saturday. I think there's a clip or two of FP4 when it was really wet on track, and you'll be able to see that as well. But yeah, so Silverstone was looking like it's going to be a cracking race, but unfortunately it never happened. They did try to push for a Monday race, but with the whole logistics and that, for the teams having flights and that to get their equipment to the next round, which is Misano, and a couple of them had tests at Misano as well. And obviously you got fans who've come from different countries as well. They had flights booked for Monday, and that is just, yeah, just not logistically possible to race on the Monday. Even though they have raced on a Monday before, quite a few years ago now at Qatar, when it rained at night and they couldn't race because of the glare, and they decided to run the race on the Monday. But after that they said they were never going to run a race on the Monday again, just because of all the complications it caused. So yeah, that's Silverstone. I'm finishing Silverstone now with Cal Crutchley, and we're going to win. Would have been nice to see what Crutchlow could have done, but or would have been nice to see what anyone could have done, but unfortunately it didn't happen. So yeah, I know a lot of people were pissed off on that, saying they should have raced anyway, but yeah, their safety is the most important thing.
These days the podium is extremely valuable.
So yeah, that is it from me, guys. Like I said, I'll leave some footage after this and let you guys have a look to see what I caught. But anyway, guys, that's it from me. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to leave this video a like if you enjoyed it. Subscribe to my channel for more content. I shall see you guys in the next video. See you.
And then back where we started Friday morning. And like it's intimating that we're all on the so he can have his last lap push to see if he can build himself up. Yeah, he would go now. Ross is building down the outer straight, so get some heat in the tyres. Oh, not the outer straight, so he's coming into proper turn, but yeah, just getting some heat in the tyres there. Or Profiori.